What do you say, Ryan? Should we jump in?
I think we should. Let's open in prayer. Why don't you lead us?
Deb, do you want to open us up in prayer?
Yes, I'd be happy to. And so let us pray. Dear Father, we thank you. We thank you for this technology that allows us to gather so easily, so frequently. Lord, we just pray that your Spirit would be present with us, that would enliven the conversation and help us to glean what you would have us glean. We thank you for your Son, Jesus, and praise you, Lord, for this time. Amen.
Wonderful. Throughout our conversation, if you have questions at all, you can go ahead and put them in the chat. And Logan Hope, who serves as Ardent Mentoring's program manager, will be curating those questions, and she will make sure to bring them up during the Q&A time with Kurt. I've not gotten the pleasure and privilege of meeting with you. My name's Ryan King, and I get the honor of serving as the CEO of Ardent Mentoring. And Ardent Mentoring provides subject matter expertise, executive mentoring to high capacity entrepreneurs making a social or spiritual impact in the world. This mentoring comes from highly successful Christian entrepreneurs who have the skills and competencies and experience and expertise to help you scale your work, navigate challenges, take advantage of opportunities, and avoid pitfalls along the way. Our mentoring is really tailored in a way that is focused on the specifics of what you're going through. People often ask us what our program is. Our program is the mentee. It's the work you're doing, the space you're doing the work in, the people you're serving, and how we can help you serve them better, grow in the business and the work that you're doing and scale, and at the same time do it in a way where we're also helping you establish a foundation of work-life balance, faith, family, identity, and other things like that as you build a foundation for your business. We do it in a highly affordable way. And if any of you are interested in the work that we do, if any of you are interested in being matched with a mentor, we give a free introductory session for you to meet your mentor and make sure that our match is one that you believe in and that can actually help you. And you can go to ardentmentoring.org and schedule a discovery call with us, and we can begin the process with you. Thank you to everyone on this call. I see many current Ardent mentees, many current Ardent mentors, many friends from around the world. So I thank you for your time today and joining us. I'm really excited to introduce a good friend. Kurt, I think we began envisioning you doing these webinars with us about AI on the bus in Panama, I believe, sitting next to each other, driving around, seeing some amazing educational entrepreneurs who were supported by an organization called edify.org, just doing some incredible work serving children in very difficult situations with high quality Christ-centered education. And so without further ado, I want to introduce Kurt. He currently serves as the CEO of Deep Cognition, an incredible company on the way to maximizing how AI can really help us process data and get the most out of it. He also serves on the board of Edify, and I know he's been the CEO of previous companies, Danita and Abundant Energy, renewable energy company, something I believe highly in. And we're just happy to welcome him here. Kurt, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you. Thank you for your time and your expertise today.
Hey, thank you, Ryan. And thank you, everyone, for joining in today. I hope it's using the term edify thrown around there. I hope it's edifying to you today. Ryan and I were just talking. We've known each other for quite a while, but we just found out we both have sons named Brooks, which is kind of a small world. So, and that we're both going to be in Durango Airport Monday morning, of all the places in the world. Thank you for joining. Let me share my screen with you and jump in. How are we doing there? Does that look good? Can you see that? Thumbs up. Okay, fantastic. Well, I'm going to be talking a little bit about AI and tailoring it to social entrepreneurs, early stage ventures. I think some of it's very applicable to mentors and business advisors and investors. I really love Ardent, what they're doing. Lloyd Reeb Chris Crane, all the visionaries behind what Ardent is doing, and Ryan is the co-founder. I personally believe that innovation, entrepreneurship is a hugely powerful force for good. And I'm really happy to be able to share a bit about my experiences with AI, and hopefully it's something useful to you. Artificial intelligence gets hyped. There's a lot of buzz around it, obviously. And on any given day, let's say it's Wednesday of next week, it's going to cure all known diseases. But on Tuesday, it's not going to matter because AI is going to end the world a day before it cures all the diseases because of all the negative things about AI. So you definitely get this, pendulum effect of what AI is, the good and the bad, and everything in between. But one thing for sure is AI is everywhere. The Apple Intelligence, and they're gonna use the term AI for Apple Intelligence because they're a very smart marketing company. Just coming out in October with their new iPhone 16, loaded with a lot of new AI. And these things are, things like writing tools, whether it's email or it's other things that you're using your phone for, or your iPad or your MacBook. They're chalking it full of ways to write better, all integrated into what you're already doing. A lot of personalized context, so notifications. So when you have things on your calendar and you have things in your email, it's kind of synthesizing a lot of that, and it's giving you notifications if you want that to kind of keep you on track and not forgetting things. Siri is where their AI intelligence is coming in, and I think the new iPhone 15 and 16s, they light up when Siri is on. They have this kind of light show that happens, and a lot of natural language processing where you can just type in things to have things done. So very exciting to see that's coming out here in October and hitting the market. We're using Zoom here. There's a lot of different tools around online meetings, like Zoom AI Companion. Can organize by chapter. It records all of these types of meetings and summarizes them, uses AI to even highlight and put action items in place. And but you can always add additional ones to that, like Fireflies or other tools like this that you can bolt into it. So my experience with AI is one as a social investor and advisor myself, a portfolio of a couple dozen companies that have social aspirations to help the world and make the world a better place, as well as the making money in for-profit companies. And so that's through a portfolio called Realm Resources, and a lot of those are technology-oriented companies. Then I'm also currently a CEO of one of those portfolio companies called Deep Cognition. It's a startup started in 2017, but I'd say we still consider ourselves a startup because we're in the AI space and things are changing so quickly. But what we're doing is we're using generative AI to lift data off of documents, and the more complicated and convoluted multi-language variable format it is, the better we do to save time and money. We're saving about 80 to 90% using generative AI in our applications than what would be required for manual data entry of these types of documents. So our mission is artificial intelligence, real results, and a better world, and using AI for kind of a different use cases, both governmental use cases and also use cases in the commercial sector, all with the commonality of lifting data off of very complicated documents. So when we look at AI as a whole, AI is not just everywhere, but it's now. It's not the Jetsons somewhere in the future. It's come to us now. And it's not just a theory, but it's being put in practice. And nearly all business leaders are saying right now, with all the polls, they're doing at least one AI application, and most of them are doing many now. And it's both improving and disrupting not just the startup community and the venture community, but also, you know, all businesses of all stripes. And about 25% have already integrated it into, you know, their operations or their business practices, and that's growing, you know, every day. But what's preventing a lot of adoption is really just understanding, like saying, well, how can I use it? I've heard a lot about it, but how can I put it to use in my world, whether I'm a coach, a mentor, whether I'm running a startup business, e-commerce business, a SaaS business, maybe an old-fashioned, you know, business that doesn't have a lot of tech, but I want to use AI to be more productive. So there's a lot of uncertainty around it, and hopefully I can talk a little bit about that today. And this can resonate with some of you here today. So what is generative AI? This is what really has changed things. AI has been around since even like the 60s and 70s, whenever, you know, large, you know, early stage computers were around, people were envisioning AI. But what really turned the dial is generative AI. So there's artificial intelligence, and there's deep learning, which is a subset of that. Also, machine learning is another name. And generative AI is this advanced form that uses transformers and large language models to really do amazing things, to pull data from all the knowledge basically in the world, and be able to pull that to the fingertips to say, what is the most advanced knowledge that I can pull to bear in a prompt, or when there's a call for that information. So some of the leaders in this space are you know, OpenAI, ChatGPT, Gemini, which is Google, Llama, which is Meta. You know, all the big players are getting involved. DALL-E, which is also OpenAI, is you know, creating images, you know, pictures, you know, from a natural language prompt. You just type in what you want it to be, and it'll create that particular picture for you. A lot of things in the coding space that are ironically, the IT developers, engineers that created generative AI are experiencing the brunt of job loss and uncertainty, because one programmer now with AI assistance and AI coding help can do the work of about 7 or 8 coders, you know, 5 years ago, or even 3 years ago. So it's putting some pressure on those types of jobs. But basically, it's changing everything. Generative AI, you know, it can learn from the data, it can improve every day, and it produces work that is faster, better, and more efficient than most humans or average humans. The proliferation of AI models, you can see back in 19 and 2020, ChatGPT came on the scene, but it was really in 22 that just everything just started to take off when people saw what was possible. So a lot of players. This is a mind blower. I mean, when you track the machine learning, artificial intelligence data landscape, these are all company logos, believe it or not. You know, you have vertical AI, you have enterprise, you have all the companies creating the models and doing the analytics and doing the infrastructure and the data and all the consulting and security and all the things around it. I mean, it's a huge ecosystem. So I'm going to try to simplify that a little bit today, just in a few ways, and then we can get into some Q&A. But so if you're looking at it, if you have a startup or maybe a smaller size, medium-sized company that you're running or in charge of, you know, you can't just, you know, you don't have an unlimited budget. You know, so I've tried to curate some AI tools that would fit for a startup, right? Cost effective, could fit into some limited budgets. We're a startup and growing, so I can relate to you trying to run a company, and what tools do we use? What can we afford? Something that's scalable, that can grow our company without significant additional resources having to be added. And it needs to be, even though we're an AI company, you know, not everybody is a developer and an engineer. So we want non-technical or technical, non-technical friendly type of tools that are easy to install and easy to learn and train on. So I'm going to get into a few applications and some use cases here in a minute. But one of the things that the CEO of NVIDIA said is AI isn't coming to take your job, but someone using AI is coming to take your job. So the first thing I would say to you is I'm not going to be able to give you but just a thimbleful of information about AI. It's changing every day. It's massive. So the thing I would say is be AI curious, right? Just learn a little bit every day, keep up with it. And then as a leader, as a business person, as someone in society, you know, you can learn and pick up some new information every day. So if you can do that, you can augment your own productivity. It will pay for itself many times over. And also in that way, you won't be blindsided, but you'll always be competitive, whether you're running a company or whatever you're doing. And so starting with what are the areas that startups, growth ventures are using AI for? What are the categories? And I'll just go through a number of those so you can see where things are hot. You know, customer service automation. You know, when you think about chatbots, you don't want to pay a bunch of people that are texting and reviewing and doing reviews online and texting your company for information. You don't want to really have to hire an army of people that are always waiting around and responding. Now you can just put a chat bot on that is highly intelligent. It's going to be a lot smarter with a lot more information at its fingertips than a typical person that you're going to pay to do that. And they're never going to sleep. So if someone types in something and wants an answer, they can answer within seconds. So it's very responsive. It improves response times. It's never down. Gives better answers, and it's at a fraction of the cost of hiring a workforce to do that. Those can be pointed at your current customers. It can also be pointed at prospective customers to answer their questions as they're checking out your company and want to know more information, perhaps to do business with you. Data analytics and insights. This is where you have all this data. Maybe it's, you know, your sales data or marketing data, customer data. You can actually take all that in very unstructured ways, put it into a prompt, and basically ask generative AI today to tell me what you see, and it'll create graphs. It will give you information of trends. It's amazing what it can do by just in a native way, putting it into a prompt and seeing what comes back. It's not always completely trustworthy, but it will definitely start you off with a lot of insights in a very short order. Marketing and customer engagement. I would say sales and marketing are the areas that, whether it's lead generation or anything that you're doing with digital marketing, this is ripe for AI, where it's lowering costs, increasing decision-making, response times, and making better decisions around the marketing and sales ecosystem. And it can help you personalize your messages through the analytics of that. Operational efficiency. If you have routine tasks, you know, things like invoicing, or, hey, I have somebody that types in all my invoices or my accounts payable or my accounts receivable, those days will need to move people that are doing rote tasks to doing, moving them into things where they can do higher order thinking. The whole thing about AI is it can take over those rote tasks very easily, more accurately, and faster, and more cost effectively, so that humans in the loop can do the exception management and can leverage the machines to do a lot of work as an extension of themselves. So when you think about accounting tasks or inventory management, sometimes supply chain, these are things that could be freed up in the future or even today. Predictive analytics, so, optimizing things, looking at the trade-offs. That's AI is very good at that. And then enhanced decision-making, analyzing complicated data sets and helping support decisions. And also in decision-making, I would include competitive intelligence and trends, market trends, things like that. When you think about being a business leader, no matter what type of business you're running, you can think about AI as something coming to the fore of virtual assistants. So, you may have an executive assistant, or you may share an executive assistant to do a lot of things. Virtual assistants, when it comes to your calendar and prioritizing tasks and streamlining who you need to talk to, those are things that are more and more being handled by AI. The content that you have to read every day to stay relevant in your industry, you can have AI curate that and summarize that and basically put it on a silver platter for you to save you time and get you to much richer information and a compendium of information. So that's a big thing that's happening that you can use for your own productivity. Financial management, a lot of the typical financial statements and other trends can be more easily synthesized, so you can make better decisions in less amount of time. And learning and development. This is, and I'm going to kind of move to the next slide because it's along the same lines, but personalized learning and skill development. If you have an interest, you can have AI help curate and teach you a lot more about that, because the large language models are now smarter when you ask a question than almost any subject matter expert in the world on those topics. Now, you can get into some real esoteric topics, and the large language models have not picked up on all of that, but it's moving very quickly and getting smarter every day. So there's not too many topics left that the AI is not going to be as smart or smarter than your top subject matter experts in those fields in the world. You can use this, you kind of keep an eye on time here, but health and fitness tracking, you can do a lot just from your broader level of balance in life as a leader. Time management, a lot of things going on there to save you time and also to keep you on track and motivated on your to-do lists. If you're traveling, a lot of language translation can be very helpful if you do business in other language speaking countries. Financial planning, we touched on. Personalized recommendations of entertainment, things like that outside of work. Your well-being and stress management, there's a lot of things happening there. And also travel planning and even navigation and negotiation. So I want to throw a few things at you and then get to the Q&A, but some areas that, and a few, these are not necessarily the top companies. These are example companies that are using AI in these very hot areas of AI use cases. So in online meetings, you just don't have Zoom, but you can add, the AI companion, or TLDV. I think it's an acronym for too long, didn't view, but it has, meeting synthesis that you can bolt on to Teams or, Zoom or other things like that. Email content, if you're spending a lot of time writing emails, you shouldn't be doing that. You should have AI write it for you, give it the prompt of what you want, and then just kind of bring it into your own voice. But it can save you usually 70% of the time in creating a new email. Time management, the Apple Intelligence Suite, both content management and notifications, as well as time management, all of these things are coming together to help in that. Decision support, Tableau, Power BI, Google Analytics are all adding additional AI bolt-ons to what they're bringing to their clients. ChatGPT, you see that in a lot of places. You'd be surprised if you just type into native ChatGPT, which is free. I'm going on a vacation and I want to go from this country to this country to this country, and I want to stop. What should I do? What do you recommend? I mean, it will give you back something like a high quality travel agent would do and give you the most cost effective ways of getting around and doing the things you want to do. When you look a little bit outside into the more business functional areas of maybe a company you're running, marketing content, if you have people writing content and in the marketing side, this can be done for you. Search optimization, SEO optimization can be done for you. Graphics can be created, custom graphics, and also custom videos. You have basically AI personas that you just type in what you're trying to say in natural language, and it will create an entire video for you, just really in a matter of minutes, very high quality. And it's hard to tell whether that's an AI avatar or a human being talking to you. It's gotten to that level. Sales and ops automation, whether you have prospecting chat bots or lead generation, like Seamless goes into LinkedIn and gathers everything in there and brings it back to you curated on who you want to target. It can measure your sales team's effectiveness. Are they closing? How long are they spending on time digging into your best, cloning your best salespeople and why they're being successful? Workflow automation with Zapier. I already touched on these co-pilots helping with software development and engineer side. Customer support, these are the chat bots that are helping message and chat back and forth. You can look at all the chat information and text, and you could have analytics, AI analytics like Monkey Learn, telling you the synthesis of what's going on with the customer sentiment. Financial planning, you can throw all the numbers in there in a very unstructured way, and it can really help you with your expenses. And then hiring, they can match up and evaluate candidates on a lot of different, not just demographics and business, but also a lot of psychographic backgrounds. And if you're spending a lot on lawyers, things like Harvey and others can really make even someone who's not that, savvy, can have it review documents, have it go find, precedents. It can really save you a lot of money on what a typical lawyer might charge you to do for research to get you to a comfortable place. So that's a flyby of a lot of things going on, both how you may, use AI in your personal life, in your business life, and also when it comes to your company and how you implement it into your company. So I'm going to stop sharing here so I can see the chat a little bit better and then take questions. Hopefully I didn't go over too long. Ryan, how are you still on track?
You're 2 minutes shy, so you're great, Kurt. Thank you so much. That was wonderful. I took so many notes. So why don't we launch into Q&A? Will it help you best, Kurt, if I'm firing off questions from the chat so you don't miss any? Or
yeah, just do that. That'd be great.
All right, first question is, we have a lot of for-profit entrepreneurs on this call, but we also have a lot of nonprofit entrepreneurs on this call. And this person asked, I think she's in the global missions world, what are some ways that AI can be helpful in global missions?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it's, when I said be AI curious, I think, what AI can do is do a lot of things that are only limited by your imagination. So for example, when I think of maybe foreign missions, sometimes language can be a barrier. And there's a lot of things going on to where communication across language barriers is broken down by AI because it's a language savant. They call it large language models. It's also a math savant, and it's also a lot of other savants. But I think it could perhaps break down some barriers language-wise, whether that's the Bible or tracks or communications. You can also create pictures, and you can put in a custom way where you used to, perhaps if you wanted to draw a picture to get a point across, maybe it's a Bible study lesson, you would have to go and then have someone, generate that. An artist would have to be employed. you could just type that in and show a picture and be able to communicate maybe perhaps more effectively if you're sharing the gospel. From an efficiency standpoint, the information that that AI can do for you, whether you're looking at maybe pricing or what something should cost or exchange rates or things like that. It could also, I think, onboard people faster. If you have volunteers that are coming, one of the things is you want them to be as productive as possible if they're on a short-term, medium, or long-term mission. And it's pretty easy to generate some training material or some onboarding material to bring someone up to speed in a new context or a new environment. So I'm just spitballing, a few things, but I do think ultimately it could make someone perhaps on a tighter budget in certain areas able to, for their the donations they receive, to go much further to accomplish a lot more. So just like it would make a for-profit entity more efficient, it would certainly do the same for a nonprofit.
Great, thanks, Kurt. The second question is, how many of these features are available free of charge versus paid for apps? I mean, that's probably a hard one for you to know off the top of your head, but what would you say?
Yeah, there's a lot of open things going on right now. And, things like Chat GPT, you tend to have to pay for maybe the most latest model of the large language models. But if you can kind of get by with, maybe not the latest, but maybe a generation, earlier, many of those are free. Chat GPT is amazing. You can do so many things with it. It's completely free. And so I would say start there, start using it to its full potential. And then it will probably lead you into a lot of other things to say, hey, I need something a little more specialized, for a particular function. For example, what we do is at Deep Cognition, we pull data off of documents. Okay, we do that for the IRS, and they use it where special agents can go and do reconciliations on suspected money laundering and fraud and things like that. So we're able to catch bad guys because we pulled information off bank statements and checks and deposit slips and all of that. That's one application. We have another application where we pull data off commercial shipping documents so the supply chain can go faster and get through customs much quicker for shippers. Well, we put a lot of custom functionality around that, but the core thing that the AI is doing is the same, just lifting in an accurate way information off of documents. So I think there's always going to be different functions where start with something generic with AI, take it as far as you can, but then but once you need more productivity, start looking for a specialized AI that does exactly what you want it to do for that function or the specific industry that you're in. And I think there's such a proliferation, you should be able to find a few choices that can fit your needs.
All right, next question. Many LLMs, ChatGPT, learn from the prompts they receive. So it's important not to include your proprietary info in the prompts unless you know how it's being used. What are your thoughts on the hot topic of AI safety?
Yeah, I would concur. It's not a great idea to throw personalized information into the prompts, just because once you do that, you're kind of giving that information out to be used. It's not necessarily saying it's going to be used in a wrong way, but it could, right? And so I think that it's always going to be a topic of what is AI learning from, and are there biases in there? How accurate is it? And it's always going to be influenced by the data in is going to be reflected in the information out. So I would say, yeah, don't put personal information into these large language models. And there's certain ethical standards that each company has published around their large language models. So there's a lot to choose from. You know, you could choose Anthropic and they have one called Claude, or you could do Meta with Llama. I mean, so as a consumer, you can read their privacy policies and their usage policies, and you can decide which one best conforms to, you know, what you would want to use. And I think that's something that is going to be evolving all the time.
Any resources for usage guidelines for the reasons mentioned?
You mean, well, I guess in what, maybe want to know a little more in what context. You mean as a company using AI, or?
We'll go on to the next question. We'll find out who wrote that one and we'll unmute them in a
Okay.
minute. We'll come
All right.
back on. Some companies are marketing what I would think is simply using algorithms as AI. How can you tell the difference?
Well, one thing is true. Anybody that's trying to differentiate themselves with their customers will often put an AI tag onto what they're doing. And it's not always, you know, intelligent. It could just be, yeah, an algorithm that just processes information the old-fashioned way and then provides it back. You know, there's been expert systems around for a long time. There's been, you know, computer programs that process information. So just because someone says it's AI doesn't mean that it's AI. You know, probably the clearest definition is if you either have created your own model and trained a machine learning model, deep learning model, artificial intelligence model, and are processing data through that, or you're using a large language model, you know, that's the real AI. Everything else is really still just computer code that's very static that has to be updated by a developer instead of like actually processing it, you know, live, if you will.
Excellent. Logan, did you unmute Chris? Great, Chris.
Hey, yeah.
Hey, Chris.
So I guess this is about the like usage guidelines, like in light of what so it's really like I've experimented using ChatGPT. Some of the things you're talking about, it's sometimes fun, it's sometimes really helpful, speeds things up. But then I'm currently working with my company on a policy for usage, and then you kind of think twice about putting all those what you're putting in there, and then. So anyway, I thought I'd just ask if you had any guidelines or any suggestions on resources to use for creating, you know, what you use it for, what you don't, that sort of thing.
Right. Well, one, you know, if you have company proprietary information, just like, you know, you probably wouldn't put your own personal information in, you wouldn't probably put, you know, I guess, private company information and have employees not put organizational information in there that should stay private. Those kind of guidelines. I do think they're just like cell phones and websites and the internet when it came along. You know, you want your employees to be using their time wisely, and there can be a distraction factor. I mean, ChatGPT or something like that, super interesting. You could be asking it questions all day long and learning, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're adding value to your company's mission if you're distracted in doing that. So obviously, if someone's using it, you know, on company time, you know, you'd want them to be focused on company mission. And so those would be the things I would say. Ironically, one of the first places you could start, it sounds circular, but you could actually ask ChatGPT or another one of the large language models, you know, for example, you know, usage policies and why, and it will probably produce that for you in a very high quality. But I'm not a real expert in all of that, you know, to be honest. So I'm giving you some ideas, but I do think it is important. Just like when the internet came up, you had internet usage policies. you should have, AI usage policies for your organization.
Next question is, will we get a copy of the slideshow? You will get a copy of this recording, which will have all the slides included in the slideshow. So I don't know. I think that should work. So yes, we will send all of that out in an email, probably within a couple days of this webinar.
Sure. And my email address is on there. So if anybody has some follow-up questions or want to connect, I'd be happy to do it there.
Excellent. Thank you. Next question. We collect a lot of data from our fields in our anti-human trafficking projects. I'm keen to learn more about deep cognition and forms and AI.
Say that last part. Curious.
Actually, could you unmute her, Logan, and make sure I'm asking that correctly? Because I don't know if that got. Do you want me to go to the next question? We'll go back. It sounds like a love justice question.
Well, I will say just on that, I mean, I was at the Lions Den event in Dallas this last year that I'm kind of affiliated with, and there was a company there that it started with the word dark. I just had a senior moment and lost the last part, but it was basically using AI to spot sex trafficking, human trafficking, through transaction data and other things that would stick out. And so I think AI can be used very effectively from what I learned there, for combating that. As far as what deep cognition is doing for the IRS, if you remember Al Capone, he did a lot of bad stuff back in the day, and they couldn't get him on, running, alcohol or extortion or a lot of other things, racketeering, but they got him on tax evasion. And so there's a lot of money that could be, AI can be used to track things.
I didn't get that. Could you try again?
That's funny because my Siri's acting up here. So anyway, we're helping special agents, track down bad guys and not and bringing justice to them for in that kind of roundabout way. So that's kind of our social justice use case, if you will. Using the tools we can to help fight probably some of the same end result, get these human traffickers, behind bars. Steve, I think you're on mute.
Logan, did you unmute?
Do you want me to clarify my question a little further?
Yeah, did he answer it, what you were hoping for?
Yeah, I think so. I think I'm keen to maybe take the conversation further offline as well. We have a series of forms that our monitors who work on the ground fill out with all the sort of information about sort of indicators of human trafficking, as well as a lot of personal data, modus operandi around recruitment and transit and all those sorts of things. And we're definitely exploring using large language models. We've got a couple of different projects on the go at the moment, but I think I'm always just keen to learn more. And I'm sort of resonating a lot with what I read up about what deep cognition does, specifically with using information from forms and then making it really usable. So it's just hoping to dig a little bit more in there, but I'm also happy to take this offline as well.
Okay, great. Thank you. I look forward to that.
Excellent. Next question is, we collect a lot. Nope, that's it. That was the previous one. Great advice to be AI curious. I love this question. What practical first steps would you recommend to do this? I would just add on to that. Are there any courses or anything you'd recommend for people?
Yeah, there's a lot of blogs and things that that one could follow. I'm trying to think. there's webinars, there's blogs, there are different areas. I'm trying to think of some I could. New York Times has a really good, AI, artificial intelligence. You could go out and probably find different ones that you could curate and just have them kind of do a news feed to you on, some of the latest developments. They're always, announcing, the next version of this or the next step forward in this other. So perhaps I could follow up with a list of some either blog or kind of AI specific, sites where you could consume to stay curious and to be informed. So how about if I work and maybe Logan could follow that up maybe afterward?
Yeah, we'll add that into the emails sent out to everyone. Excellent. All right, next question is, many presentations like this make it seem that humans are inefficient, redundant, and full of friction. What will flourishing work look like once AI does all the things mentioned in this talk?
That is a really excellent question. It will reduce as AI can do a lot of things better than humans, at lower costs than humans, and never have to rest, can work 24 hours a day doing that particular task. There are some things that I think will become less human oriented and more machine oriented, but there will always be a need for the human in the loop to handle exceptions, to synthesize, to make the decisions, all of those types of things. So, what happens is if companies are more productive, I believe they will find more prosperity and be more successful. And typically companies that are successful and more prosperous and have more bottom line will reinvest that capital into the next growth opportunity, the next idea, frontier. And that has proven to be a place where new jobs are created and new industries are birthed, and innovation begets more opportunity and more jobs. And so I think the challenge is, predicting on net, is it going to go up, stay the same, or go down? People said the same thing about the internet. It's going to take away a lot of jobs, and it certainly did eliminate certain professions and certain jobs, and certain industries had an impact, but it vastly created more opportunity and more jobs and more prosperity. So I think if you're doing something that a machine can do really well and without any supervision, I would say that's someone needs to kind of think about retraining or re-upping into a more of a holistic mindset and migrate to those areas that are growing in the new innovation areas. And I think when I think about societies, right, like they need to be geared toward what are those next frontiers to reinvest into. America in the US is never going to be the lowest cost labor market. I think that AI is probably going to have in some ways a greater impact on lower cost labor markets around the world, that the machines are going to compete with lower labor costs for doing certain rote type of things. So I think it will have an impact globally, and I will just have to wait and see how that plays out.
All right, I think this might have to be our last question. Dana, if you don't mind, we're going to take you off mute and you can ask this question because there's kind of like a preamble to the question. I want to make sure you get it right.
Thanks, Steve. Thanks, Kurt. Amazing to be here. So I'm part of our research and development committee, and we've obviously identified innovations in AI, and we've done feasibility studies, and now we want to deploy them or do pilots on them. And obviously there's a big component of change management for team members. Obviously, we want our team members of a consulting firm of 100 staff members to flourish, and there's AI policies to adopt, and obviously there is training that needs to be done. Now, we don't obviously want to reinvent the wheel and do all the training from scratch. Is there, Kurt, just to hear your thoughts when you guys deploy for your team, etc. Are there any resources or industry leaders which one can follow to get perhaps access to some of these training and inductions? Just to work from that. Thanks, Steve.
Well, I think I got most of that. I think there is a change management component to using AI, and I think it's something that should never be underestimated. You always want to work with people, have respect for people, the jobs they're doing, and bring AI in where they understand the role of AI, what it would do and what it would not do, and how that would fit into their career path and how they can be empowered by the AI. And many times they are very excited about that because they can learn, I can learn a new skill set. I can be a part of this change. This is going to help me not have to do a lot of the redundant things or the low value things that I have to do every day. And I can actually move on to higher order things, maybe talking to customers or making decisions, or I don't have to work as long of hours as I used to have to work. And so I think it's being, very upfront about what AI would do, what it wouldn't do. And so I think there's some soft training, and then usually whatever AI application you're using, there'll be some specific, more hard training about, how the software would work or how it would be best be used. And I would like to say, as a Christian and someone that believes in redemption and believes in flourishing, for in the power of business and the very good power of business, and for-profit, nonprofit, and organizations that want to fulfill their mission, I believe that we should find not bury our head in the sand, but look for redemptive uses of AI and use that for the kingdom, and how to empower our employees and do things ethically, so that we can always remain competitive in whatever organizations we're in, and then always give back and be the example of how to best use, this technology. And also speak up when things are not being used properly or there's abuses. We should speak up and set policies that reflect, good ethics and be good leaders in that regard.
Kurt, we cannot thank you enough for coming. You're a wealth of knowledge on this topic, and you're so gracious, and we so appreciate you. So thank you for presenting. Thank you to everyone who's taken time out of their day to come to this. We will send you an email with a lot of information. Please reply back to that email on what wasn't covered and what maybe we could cover next time to make it even more effective. If you didn't hear Ryan talk and you came on a little late, we're Ardent Mentoring. We offer one-on-one mentoring for-profit and nonprofit entrepreneurs. So if you're interested in one-on-one subject-based mentoring, I put our emails in the chat. Please get in touch with us, or you can reply to the email. Any final thoughts, Ryan?
I'm just going to ask one question before we get off here. I know I'm going back to Q&A and I'm not supposed to do this, but you closed out the call so well. Thank you, Steve, for leading that whole time. Kurt, incredible presentation. I have a page of notes. I've already put stuff into my team's docket for us to work on from this. So thank you so much. But there was just a number of questions, and this was I was thinking too, maybe this is a paid versus free answer, but in terms of AI taking our data and using it for other people's things, is there any AI tools where it keeps our information that we're inputting private? And do we need to pay? Is there a paywall that we need to pay to do that? But what will be best if we're not trying to share with whatever we're putting in with the whole world?
Mm-hmm. Well, there are versions and options where you could have an LLM and then you can take that in and make that private. So there are on-premise approaches to AI. There are private LLMs, and there's, you know, that question you have, Ryan, is very common, right? People are like, I want to get the use of the AI, but I don't want to have my data go everywhere, and it's a competitive industry or all these sensitivities. So I think that is, it's birthing a whole industry of these kind of private, you know, AI models that are coming on the scene, and every company will probably have somewhere these kind of private things are the right use for this type of use case, and then there's other ones that are less sensitive to that, and you can use, you know, the broader ones. And some are, yeah, it's going to cost more to have something private and exclusive, but in many cases, it would be worth it.
Wonderful. That's learning for me. Kurt, once again, can't thank you enough. Thank you everyone for joining us. This is a privilege and honor to be able to bring someone like Kurt in, and we just feel so incredibly privileged, Kurt, by your time on here. So thank you once again. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Goodbye.
Thanks, everyone.